What if I told you there's a type of carbohydrate that research suggests may not raise your blood sugar and might actually help lower it? And that eating this carb at breakfast was associated with a reduced blood sugar response at lunch hours later. Welcome to day 10. Everything you thought about carbs may be about to shift. Before we dive in, I need to say something important. This channel provides educational content based on published research, but it is not medical advice. Every person's body is different, and what works for one person may not work for another. If you are on insulin, metformin, sulfonylureas, blood thinners, or any other medication, do not change your diet or exercise routine without talking to your healthcare provider first. Food can be a powerful support for your health, but it does not replace prescribed medication. Always work with your doctor. Welcome back to the Smart Meal Plan. I'm your guide, and this is day 10 of our 30-day journey. If you're new here, this isn't just a diet plan. It's an educational, research-backed, meal-by-meal approach designed to help you explore how food may support better blood sugar management. If you haven't watched days 1 through 9, go back. Each day builds on the last. Links in the description. Resistant starch, the carb that may help lower blood sugar. Trust me, you want to watch this all the way through. I need to challenge something you've probably been told your entire life. Carbs are bad for diabetics. Cut the carbs. You've heard it from well-meaning sources everywhere, and I understand why. It makes intuitive sense. Carbs raise blood sugar, so fewer carbs means lower blood sugar. Except nutrition is rarely that simple. And today, I'm introducing you to a type of carbohydrate that research suggests may break the rules you've been taught. Let me start with the research, because understanding why you're eating what you're eating is what makes this approach different from every other meal plan. Resistant starch is a type of carbohydrate that resists digestion in your small intestine. Instead of becoming glucose, it travels to your large intestine where gut bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyrate, which research suggests may help improve insulin sensitivity. This isn't my personal opinion. This is from peer-reviewed, published clinical research. And it has direct implications for what you eat today. When you toast and cool bread, some of the starch molecules rearrange into a more resistant form. Research suggests that toasted whole grain bread may contain more resistant starch than fresh bread, potentially resulting in a somewhat lower glycemic impact. Stay with me here, because this is where it gets really interesting. The second meal effect is a fascinating phenomenon where resistant starch consumed at one meal may improve blood sugar control at the next meal, even hours later. Some studies suggest eating resistant starch at breakfast could reduce the post-lunch glucose response by around 30% in some people. Now I want to connect this research directly to your plate. Every ingredient in your meals was chosen with this science in mind. Nothing is random. Every bite is intentional. A 2019 systematic review in Advances in Nutrition analyzed 35 clinical trials and concluded that resistant starch intake of 15 to 30 grams daily was associated with improved insulin sensitivity and reduced fasting glucose in people with type 2 diabetes, though effects varied across studies. The research I'm referencing, Maziarz et al., 2017, Advances in Nutrition, Systematic Review of Resistant Starch Consumption and Glycemic Control in Type 2 Diabetes. Let me bust a common myth right now. All carbs raise blood sugar, so counting total carbs is the only thing that matters. This oversimplification has caused a lot of confusion. A gram of carbohydrate from white bread and a gram from lentils may have very different metabolic effects. White bread carbs are rapidly converted to glucose. Lentil carbs are wrapped in fiber, resistant starch, and protein that slow digestion significantly. Glycemic load, which accounts for both quality and quantity, is a more useful metric. Research suggests the same gram count from different sources can produce very different blood sugar responses. This is why resistant starch is so interesting. It's counted as a carb on the label, but may behave more like fiber in your body. Resistant starch supplements, particularly green banana flour and raw potato starch, are gaining interest. Some people add them to smoothies or water, and early research is encouraging, though more studies with larger sample sizes are needed. Green banana flour is an emerging option for people interested in resistant starch. It's naturally high in resistant starch and can be added to smoothies or used in baking. Bob's Red Mill potato starch is another accessible option. Start small, 1 tablespoon daily, and increase gradually. There's a significant difference between white bread and dense whole grain bread. True whole grain contains all three parts of the grain: bran, fiber, germ, nutrients, and endosperm, starch. When you toast it, some starch molecules rearrange into retrograded starch, a form your digestive enzymes may not fully break down, which means toasted whole grain bread may have a somewhat lower glycemic impact. Look for bread with whole wheat flour as the first ingredient, at least 3 grams of fiber per slice and under 3 grams of sugar. All right, let's eat. Breakfast on day 10. Avocado toast on whole grain bread with poached egg and everything seasoning. The avocado toast today is built on resistant starch science. When you toast whole grain bread, the starch molecules undergo retrogradation. They rearrange into structures that your digestive enzymes may not fully break down. This means toasted bread may have a somewhat lower glycemic impact than untoasted bread. The avocado provides oleic acid and about 7 grams of fiber. The poached egg adds protein that further moderates the glycemic response. And the everything seasoning includes sesame seeds, which contains sesamin, a compound that some research associates with modestly improved fasting glucose. Toast bread until golden and firm. It needs structure for the avocado. Mash avocado with a fork directly on toast, keeping it slightly chunky. Everything seasoning goes after the poached egg so it sticks. Use the freshest eggs you can find. When you sit down to eat this, practice the protein-first approach. Eating protein before carbs may help trigger GLP-1 release and create a buffer that slows carbohydrate absorption. Research suggests this could reduce your post-breakfast spike by a meaningful amount. By now, your body may be adapting. Many people report less hunger between meals, more stable energy, and diminishing cravings around this point. That's not willpower. It may be biology. Your insulin efficiency, gut bacteria, and hunger hormones could be finding a new equilibrium. Trust the process. Before we get to lunch, let me tell you about today's exercise. It's specifically chosen to complement the science we just discussed. Today's exercise, core strengthening for metabolic health. Best time, morning, 15 minutes. Today's routine, 30-second plank, build to 60 seconds over time, 15 bicycle crunches each side, 10 dead bugs each side, 20-second side plank each side, 15 glute bridges, 10 bird dogs each side. Rest 30 seconds between exercises. Repeat twice. Finish with 5 minutes of deep breathing. The science behind this. Core strength supports posture, breathing, and circulation, all of which may contribute to better glucose metabolism. A 2020 study in the Journal of Physical Therapy Science found that core stability exercises were associated with HbA1c improvements in diabetic participants over 12 weeks. Remember, exercise for people managing blood sugar isn't just about burning calories. It's about creating glucose disposal pathways. When you move, your muscles can absorb glucose from your blood through processes that may not fully require insulin. Always check with your doctor before starting a new exercise routine, especially if you're on insulin or medications that can cause low blood sugar. Now let's talk lunch. Roasted beet and goat cheese salad with walnuts and balsamic. Roasted beets contain betalains, pigments that act as antioxidants and have shown promise in laboratory studies for reducing oxidative stress. The goat cheese provides protein and probiotics from fermentation. Walnuts add omega-3 ALA and polyphenols. And the balsamic vinegar dressing contains acetic acid, the same compound that research associates with modest blood sugar benefits. Practical tip: eat slowly. Research suggests that fast eaters may have significantly higher diabetes risk than slow eaters. Chewing thoroughly may help release satiety hormones and give your brain time to register fullness. Aim for 20 minutes minimum per meal. Today's snack: pear slices with 1 tablespoon peanut butter. This isn't mindless snacking. It's strategic metabolic support, timed for mid-afternoon, 3 to 4 hours after lunch, to help prevent the blood sugar dip that may trigger poor dinner choices. By preempting that potential crash with protein and fat, you may reduce cravings before they start. Now dinner. Chicken coconut curry, light coconut milk, with cauliflower rice. Chicken coconut curry with cauliflower rice brings together flavors and potential metabolic benefits from across Asia. Light coconut milk provides medium-chain triglycerides that are metabolized differently from other fats. Turmeric, cumin, coriander, and ginger each have research supporting anti-inflammatory and blood sugar supporting properties. Cauliflower rice absorbs the curry sauce beautifully while keeping carbs low. Research suggests insulin sensitivity tends to decrease between morning and evening. The same meal that barely raises blood sugar at 8 a.m. may have a notably larger impact at 8 p.m. That's why dinner is moderate in carbs, rich in protein and non-starchy vegetables. Try to eat at least 3 hours before bed, and the post-dinner walk is highly recommended. Research suggests even 10 minutes may help reduce your post-dinner spike. Plates in the sink, shoes on, walk around the block. Today's nutritional breakdown: 1,480 calories total. Protein, 88 grams. Carbs, 112 grams. Fat, 72 grams. These macros are designed with type 2 diabetes management in mind. You should not feel hungry or deprived. If you do, add more vegetables and protein. Always consult your healthcare provider about the right caloric intake for your individual needs. If you're monitoring your blood sugar, and I encourage you to discuss a monitoring plan with your doctor, here are today's key testing moments. Fasting before breakfast, 2 hours after breakfast, and 2 hours after dinner. These 3 data points tell you how your body responded to today's meals. Write them down. Over 30 days, the patterns become incredibly informative. If you're on insulin or medications that can cause hypoglycemia, be especially attentive when changing your diet or exercise routine. Always have a fast-acting glucose source available. Your safety comes first. 3 simple ways to increase resistant starch starting today. 1. Cook and cool your starches. Make rice or potatoes, refrigerate overnight, then reheat. Cooling may convert some starch to resistant form. 2. Use slightly green bananas instead of ripe ones. They're naturally higher in resistant starch. 3. Add 1 tablespoon of raw potato starch or green banana flour to your morning smoothie. You won't taste it. These are small adjustments that cost nothing and may help support better blood sugar management. Try one today. Viewers ask, if I eat resistant starch, do I still count those carbs? This is a nuanced question. Resistant starch does contain some calories, but may not raise blood sugar the way regular starch does. I recommend counting total carbs on the label for tracking purposes, but understanding that the actual glycemic impact of resistant starch-rich foods is likely lower than the number suggests. If you have a glucose monitor, test yourself. Your personal data is the most useful answer. What to be mindful of today? Gluten-free bread. Most GF breads have a higher glycemic index than regular wheat bread because they use refined starches. Oversized avocado portions on toast. Stick to half an avocado. They're calorie dense. Sweetened coconut milk in curry. Use light coconut milk and add flavor with spices instead. Assuming all carbs are equal, resistant starch and fiber-rich carbs may behave very differently than simple sugars. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Follow this plan most of the time, and you may see meaningful results. Every healthy choice is a deposit in your metabolic bank account, and those deposits can compound over time. Your resistant starch experiment. Cook a batch of rice tonight, cool it in the fridge overnight, and reheat it tomorrow for lunch. If you have a glucose monitor, compare your 2-hour reading with cooled and reheated rice versus freshly cooked rice. Post your observations in the comments. This is everyday science in action. Today shifted conventional carb thinking. Resistant starch is a carbohydrate that research suggests may actually help improve blood sugar responses by feeding beneficial gut bacteria that produce butyrate, which is associated with better insulin sensitivity. The second meal effect means resistant starch at breakfast may improve your lunch blood sugar. Toasting bread may increase resistant starch. Cooling and reheating rice may create resistant starch. And core strengthening supports the chain of posture, breathing, and glucose metabolism. 1/3 of this journey is complete. The science is building, the habits are forming. That wraps day 10. We went deep into resistant starch, second meal effect, and rethinking carbohydrates. The research, why it matters for blood sugar, and how every meal today is designed around this science. Remember, everything I shared today is educational. Your body is unique. What works for one person may not work identically for another. Always partner with your healthcare provider when making changes to your diet, exercise, or supplement routine, especially if you're on medication. We are 1/3 of the way through this 30-day journey, and tomorrow on day 11, I'm going to introduce you to a compound that went head-to-head against the world's most prescribed diabetes drug in a clinical trial, and the results were fascinating. It's called berberine, and the research may surprise you. Day 11 is going to be eye-opening. If this helped you, if you learned something new, hit like. It's free, takes 1 second, and helps the algorithm show this to other people who may benefit. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single day. Drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. I read every single one. Remember, every meal is a choice. Every choice sends a signal to your body. You are not powerless against this condition. You are informed by research, equipped with a plan, and supported by a community. I'll see you tomorrow on day 11. Until then, eat well, move well, live well.